Hello, we are back once again. Today we are covering a very, very interesting and eye-opening film, The Marijuana Conspiracy. And to talk about that today, I actually have as my guest Doreen Brown, who the film is actually, she's actually one of the women who the film is actually based upon. Doreen, thank you for being with me today.
You're welcome.
You want to tell us a little bit about the film first, and then we'll get into the aspect of what the meat of what's going on here.
Okay, well, the film is about, it's based on a true story of the marijuana experiment that took place in 1972 in Canada. The results were never known what happened during that experiment. And the movie does, I think Craig did a great job of the political, social, cultural times, the 1972, the few years surrounding that, great job. And about the experiment itself, the characters were fictionalized. However, I could see myself in one main person. I saw myself in another. Some of the other women I knew, I could see parts of them in different characters as well. So it's highly entertaining, I think provocative, but an excellent movie.
It's not often that I get the privilege of speaking with somebody who actually lived the experience that I witnessed on the film. So I just want to let you know that I really appreciate that.
Okay.
And what was it like for you to see that being played out on camera after living through it?
It was emotional. It brought me, the film to me was so realistic that it brought me right back to that time. It really did. So it was like I went back in time, of course, a lot of memories, and it was quite emotional at times for me. So I really connected to that movie and the way Craig Price did that movie.
So what is it that, I guess my question is, do you get a lot of people, obviously like me, who don't know this story? It's
Yes, a lot of people, that was 49 years ago, and over 49 years, and obviously I live in Canada, a number of people that, I've told this story to, they couldn't even believe it. And they wanted to know everything about it. They thought, that's unbelievable, it's surreal. But a lot of people didn't know about it. It was really well hidden. Yeah.
I got the opportunity to take a look at also an article by the Toronto Star.
Yes.
And they did a little bit more investigating on it. Is there anything else that has come up now, maybe that has been unearthed that hasn't been released before?
Not that I know of. No, I don't think anyone will ever find out any results from that experiment. I really don't. And when Diana interviewed me from the Toronto Star, who wrote the article, and I told her right in the beginning, I really don't believe that she's going to find anything. I don't think anyone will.
That's fascinating to me, just especially because of how far society has come with the acceptance of marijuana. The lengths that people have gone to bury this. Were you surprised that to this day that there's nothing been found?
Yes and no. Like at the time, I wasn't really, like after I got out and realized a lot of things, I wasn't surprised probably for quite a few years, because I think it was political, that they were trying to look at smoking marijuana, but it was a surreal situation. No one's going to smoke marijuana the way we did in there. Nobody.
Right.
And, the productivity, how, you're affected by this. We had physical tests all the time, blood tests. We even had, we have a letter about track marks in our arms if we had them, because of all the blood tests, the psychological tests, and seeing the shrink. And it was just surreal. No one's really going to do that. And I think that they did not get the results that they wanted. And that's why it was buried. Because I think it would have gone towards legalizing marijuana. I really do. And that's why I think they were buried.
Would you say during your time there, it was a 98-day lockdown? Would
Yeah,
you say the emotional there was more emotional damage done by being confined in that radical experience than actually by smoking marijuana?
that's a hard question. I think it would be both. But sure, the conditions being locked down, you can't have any phone calls, you can't see anyone, you're living in a hospital corridor. That in itself, I mean, in the beginning, we had fun. It was like a party. But
Mhm.
as it wore on, it wasn't really fun anymore. So it was probably, I would say, a combination because when the weed got stronger and we were in there longer at that point as well. And I think probably it was a combination at that time.
Would you say that it's an accurate depiction of the way in the film maybe the results weren't what they were looking for, so the doses got higher, and then your physical strength, your physical will kind of went down, and just it was too much, and that also led to changes in the way that they had to conduct experiments afterwards?
Um, I don't really think so because if they were looking for productivity, which they were, even when they did increase the marijuana, some people were producing more than even the non-smoking side.
Mhm.
So I don't think so. I didn't go in to make money. I never made any money in there. You got money to be in for the whole experiment. I think it was $250. That's what I came out with. I didn't go in for that reason at all, but people were producing. So, and even when they did strengthen the THC, there were people producing still.
After it was all said and done, no, did anyone ever contact you again? They would just did they let
No, like from the experiment, the
yes.
people that ran it, no follow up, nothing. And that was another fault of that experiment. We were just, the May 8th, that's when we got out. Goodbye. And no one was contacted, not how are you, nothing, no physical test, nothing at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
And would you mind sharing what your experience was those months after the experiment?
After, as I said before, I think it was very hard to get out of there for me. And I think others as well, because you're in this cocoon, I guess, protected. And then you're going out back into the world again. And I couldn't go on a subway for a while. It was hard to be with people. Uh, and I'm an extrovert and pretty social, but I found for a while after it was very hard being out. And for me, I went in to kind of find myself. That
Mhm.
cliche never happened. And I guess maybe about a year after being in there, I thought, well, I think I need help. And I did see a therapist, and I'm pretty open about that. Went to university, and maybe it was a catalyst for me to actually get some help that I needed because that was the wrong place to go if you were kind of searching for some answers. So
Did you keep in touch with any other women afterwards? Because longtime friends?
I have one. She was on the non-smoking side, actually. So we've been friends for 49 years. And on the smoking side, no, a few of us kind of clung to each other initially, but I would say for maybe 3 weeks or a month, maybe a bit longer. And then we went our own ways and never saw each other again.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And after the experiment, did you continue to smoke, or is it something that ended up leading you to quit?
No, in 49 years, I've probably had maybe a few tokes here or there, probably the equivalent of maybe one full joint, maybe two in 49 years. No, not at all.
Okay.
It was like saying, do you like chocolate? And every night at a certain time in the lounge, you're given a certain amount every night, 98 days. It's like, nah, I've had enough.
No, no, I can't imagine. That's why I was very curious to ask you that question.
Yeah, yeah.
I I know that it's so much so more socially accepted now, even with
It
people,
is.
everyday people who you don't think to. I know that I every now and then I smoke just to relax a bit, and people are all so surprised. But it's like you know you don't have to wear it on your forehead. It's just it's just
Yeah, and it's not a big deal. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My last question for you is, what do you hope audiences take away from the marijuana conspiracy?
Um, I think experiments in general, like really to question something like that, not just obviously that one in particular, but what is behind experiments, how they're operated. There's experiments going on all the time. I would really, hopefully, it'd be a cautionary tale for someone considering to go into an experiment. And actually, someone that's close to me was thinking of going into an experiment. And I just said, really check it out, told them about this experience. Not that it would be the same, but uh, really take caution in it. Don't go into it blindly like I did. So I would think that that's part of it as well. And just, I don't know. I find it's interesting that people, when they think of the government, that hey, look, they did this experiment and look what happened to these people running it. And I think it's more of a cautionary movie. It's also, I think, entertaining. And there's a lot about that time period that I know my son's in his 30s. His friends are interested in that time period. A lot of, and of course, marijuana, they're all interested in. So I think it's a really entertaining movie as well. And it could be almost like a social study of people put in a situation similar, behavioral scientists and, you know, relationships. I think there's a lot in the movie. I really do.
I have to agree with you. For me, it was a spark of conversation
Mhm.
about, when you smoke, does that really put you in a different category as a, as a drug user? Does it really limit your productivity that much, or does it actually help you in the long run? It's just, there's just so much there, and it's something
Yes,
that is still controversial to some people.
yes.
And so I think the film does a great job at foremost being entertaining, and second, just
Mhm.
delivering all those social topics that I had never heard of, and
Yeah.
a great story that
Mhm.
I would hope. I don't know if it's going to be possible to find out more about what happened to all those studies, uh, but for now we could all enjoy the film.
Yeah. I think people will enjoy it for sure.
Absolutely. Doreen, thank you so much for your time, for your story. And
You're welcome.
I hope you have a good one. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
You too. Nice talking to you. Take care.
Thanks. You too.
Okay.